Hey everybody, alrighty. Now, this is how we're going to do the back end of this. Okay, so we've got our little piece here. It's a little fiddly, but it's not too bad. So, what I did was, I'm trying to remember what I did. Okay. So first thing I did was cut a line directly off the end of the edge of this piece and cut it straight out. And then I cut the end off directly off the end of this piece. And then I flipped it, folded it back over on itself into that little area there. Okay, so there was that. Then I cut, just started to cut and came over and left about 1/8 of an inch, just like you would do for a normal book. Sorry, my husband just walked in, so the dogs are going crazy, and my door's open. So when we fold this over, we will have a little cover to cover the corner of that. Okay, and this should come straight down across this piece, straight down. All right. Then I just cut straight across all the way. Well, I skipped a part. First, fold it over. After you cut all these pieces, fold it over. Take your bone folder and push it in into the groove. So you see I can do that like that. I don't know why that's got a little bump on it. But anyway, so you want to get that all folded in there and all folded in there. Okay? And you want to get these little pieces, because you will still have this full sheet. So you're going to, when you fold, you're going to fold all the way across. Okay. Then you're going to unfold it and you're going to cut it all the way to the furthest line that you made. Okay, so it'll go all the way through this first pushed in section and cut into the first in section. Then when you cut it across, you're going to actually leave the whole pushed in section just on that little side. So you just got a little nib right there. That's it. Can you see that? Let's see. So you're just going to have, so this is cut all the way through to the end of this first line. Then when you cut this off, you're going to leave just a little bit. That's about 1/8 of an inch. Oops, about 1/8 of an inch right there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just do the best you can. And I did the same thing on this side. I've got the little nib. That actually did not get cut all the way through. Right there. Okay. So there it is. Just a little nib. All right. And then yeah, and then the only other thing you have is just to cut these ends off so that they sit inside, not far, because this, when it folds over, will cover it up. You just don't want it to hang over the edge. And it looks like I have just a little bit right here that kind of hangs over the edge. And that's how you're going to do that one. All right, hold on. Okay, now before we put all this together, we're going to do the other side. Oops, yeah. I didn't hook my... Yeah, we're good. You can hear me. Yes. Okay, so before we put this one together, we're going to go ahead and do the other side. I saved the other side to do with you. So the first thing you want to do is fold it over. Make sure it's nice and straight. And then burnish with your bone folder really well. You can even give it a little flattening there. Okay. Then we're going to find, right here, we're going to find our gully there, and we're going to push it in on both sides. Oops, I ripped the paper a little bit, so don't be quite as hard as I just was. And trying to hurry along, so take your time with this. Okay, but you want to get a good feel for it both sides, and then you also want to come along the outside of this this end piece. So you want to get yourself a nice little, so you can see the indent all the way around. All right, so now we're going to open it back up. Okay, you can see me. So now I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut right up to the chipboard and to the end of the chipboard, okay? And then I'm going to come and I'm going to do the same thing just inside to this point right here. And yeah, that's it. I'm going to put down, where to put my 1/4 inch tape? Put down a strip of 1/4 inch tape in between the two pieces and on your, you know, from one end to the other. Give it a good burnish. Now we're going to pull up the end on the side that we just cut. And this, come on now. There we go. Pull up the end and take this strip that you just cut and lay it right down in the groove. You do not want it to come past the edge of that chipboard. So if you need to trim some off, trim some off. And then just really burnish it down. There we go. And then we're going to do this side. Cut to the end, just inside and the end of that chipboard piece, and then you're going to come, the tape is right at the edge of this chipboard piece, but we're only going to cut to the end here. So I'm basically kind of lining it up with the score tape I put down. Now if you don't have score tape, glue will work. I'm using score tape. I normally would use score tape, but I'm using score tape primarily to speed things along because I didn't want this to be a super long video. The rest of it's going to be pretty easy. Okay. So there is that done. Now, this piece, when we do want to cut all the way to the chipboard here. On this side. And on this side. All the way to the shorter chipboard. Come on. There we go. So when you fold this over, it's not going to hang over the edge. All right? Then here, like you're doing the end of your book, you're going to cut, leave about 1/8 of an inch, and then you're going to cut across and cut up that inside edge of the score line you made to there. Okay, so this is what you end up with. You've folded that little flap in. You've got your long piece on this side. You've got this little flap. You did leave about 1/8 of an inch here at your corner, and then you've got this flap. All right, now we're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to come in at an angle, get about 1/8 of an inch away from your corner, and then come up the inside edge of this fold that you made while you were burnishing on the other side, and just cut that right up. And I believe, yes, it's actually through to the other end of this score piece that actually fit in here. So you're actually cutting all the way through that. I did not do that on this side. I forgot. So all the way through to that end. All right. And then we are going to cut this off straight across right to the other end of that line. So you have this piece folded over, this piece, 1/8 of an inch there. You cut all the way through to this indentation you made when we scored down in there. What is this on? Oh, my ruler. And then you're going to cut that piece off. So we'll come back over here. Oh, this is a long drink of water here. So I have cut all the way through to the end of the indentation that we made. And then I'm just going to go right across and cut it off. All right. So you fold it back over. You've got your indentation. And now the only problem is we've got this piece that is hanging over the edge of your chipboard. Okay, I don't want that hanging over the edge of my chipboard. So, and this actually I cut too far over, so I'm not going to be able to, this side, yeah, excuse me. I was supposed to leave the little bit of score on these ends, and the only reason was to cover up this little piece here, but it's really not going to show that much. We'll have a look at it at the end and see, because on the other side I was just going to put a little bit of glue on the side before I brought this over and push that down onto the back edge of the side edge of our box. You know, the chipboard that we're using. But that's not going to happen. So that's okay. So I am just going to draw myself a little line and just get this, cut it close enough to the edge so that when this comes over, that it's going to cover it and you won't be able to see anything. So I'm just going to kind of cut on the inside there of my line. It will be covered. And let me make sure. Yeah, as long as we're on the, we don't have anything hanging over the edge, we are good. All right, so let's do this and see how we end up. I'm going to go ahead and pull the tape off. Make sure I've got everything in line here. And I am going to first put glue along this edge. It just helps to make it a little neater and cleaner. And I'm going to put glue on this edge right here. So we're going to pull these in. And you can, it's kind of like letting that glue start to soften those threads up so that we don't get any cracking. And let's go ahead and glue down. Now you can also use your score tape if you would like. And make sure that you're not going in. If you are, just cut a little bit of it off. It's all going to be covered, so it's no biggie. You just don't want to go over the edge of this piece with your flaps that we're putting in. Okay. So let's burnish those down. Good. All right. Now I'm going to take and do my corners just like you would on any book that you were working on. Just make sure they're nice and tight around there. Okay. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue on that. I've already got glue in the corners, but I'm going to put a little bit of glue on that specific piece. And then I'm going to put glue up to that indentation. I'm not putting it on the indentation. I'm just putting it up to the indentation. Okay. Fold it over. Make sure you've got it nicely pulled, and then squish that glue around. There we go. All right. Now take your score tool and push down into, there we go, right down into that. Good job. And then we can just fold this back, oops, and get you some glue on the edges. And just make sure you're not losing that folded, this burnished in area. And then let's get this to lay down nicely. Okay. I didn't cut that one long enough, and I got a little bit of white there. So I will have to figure out something to fix that. This one I did make long enough because you do want it to go past your paper here, but that's all I had on that side. Okay, so let's do this side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put some glue here. Oops. And then glue on the sides. Get these folds started. Put some glue on them. Fold them over. Make sure they don't come past the actual chipboard piece that we're gluing onto. Okay, little glue over here. Just want to make sure I'm staying in frame. Make sure you don't go over, and this is just a titch too long. I'm just going to cut off a smidge. There we go. And bring that over. Get off of me. Thank you. Make sure we are nice and snug and that we've got that glue pushed around. I'm going to go ahead and, well, I'll put glue here. And I'm going to fold these around. Make sure it's all laying down. Put a little glue on that little bit of folded paper so that you're kind of catching it to keep it from, you know, getting bumped and start popping out. And if there is a little bit popping out, just snip it. And you want to give it a nice little pull and fold it over. There we go. All right. Pull this off. Now remember here I had these little edges. So I am going to put some glue on these little edges right here. So that that little bit has something to go into. So I'm going to hold this up and I'm going to start on this side and push that down. Go through the center and then come to the far side, the closest inside, so that you've got enough room to really make that nice. And then we're going to get those little edges pushed in. You only want that as long as your chipboard. You don't want it any longer than your chipboard. So if it's a little longer and it's not doing just right, just trim it down. You're just looking for it to cover that little snippet of chipboard. That is it. And then let's just get some glue on this piece. Make sure you've got that, whoops. Make sure you've got that all glued down. And then burnish. Get that glue spread out. Okay, now the rest of it. Start it. Sorry, all that's clinking and clanking on my glass. Okay. There we go. And this side again. There we go. I got a little, there we go. And I am going to go just for speed. You can use your glue, and I do use glue, but I'm just going to put some score tape on the edge of my paper. That was not very straight. See if I can flatten it out a little better. And just put a little bit on the edge. You're going to put paper over the top of this, so you can just use your glue. I just, for speed, am using the score tape. The glue will work just fine. Now I do put glue right on the edge of the chipboard, and it just helps keep the paper, it wets the paper, it helps that paper to not bend, not tear when you're bending it. Oh, okay. So let's go ahead and pull our long strip off. And now I'm going to start from this center piece here. And I want to pull this straight down and push it down into the centerpiece and actually work it into this gully that we've made. Really work it nicely. Okay, and then pull it over and then start pushing it into this gully. And then bring it on down. There we go. Now go this way. Start working that paper down into that gully. And then bring it on down. There we go. It takes a little bit of muscle to get that done. Put some glue along your chipboard. There we go. Put my needle back in there a little while. Pull this off. Start in your center. And work it down into that gully. Bring it over. Work it down into this gully. And then bring the rest of it over. Give it a nice burnish. Start this way. Bring it into your gully. I'm putting a fair bit of pressure on there. And then there we go. Whew. So that is it so far. This is what we've got. All right. So, I tried sitting on my foot and my body just couldn't take that. Just cannot take that. Okay, so now I want to go ahead and put down a sheet here. And I'm not quite sure if I want to go ahead and use a designer paper in here or just do the aqua. You can do it either way you want to. Now, this portion here is not going to be seen. This is part of the binding. So the only portion that's going to be seen, you're going to want to come up a little bit on each side of these two centerpieces, just to cover up everything. But so from this groove and this groove over, you're going to see. This center, you're not. So you don't need to worry about covering that up at all. But I don't know. I don't know if I want to. I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to use my Island Indigo or whatever it's called. And did I leave it out or did I put it away? Well, let me find it. I think one sheet will do it. So I'm going to go find it. Hold on.